So let me give you a introduction of myself. My name is Shubhamkar Thavi. I'm pursuing my final year in bachelor's in engineering of stream information technology. I have hands-on experience of web development, app development, and in cybersecurity. So now let us see what is programming. Programming is the process of creating a set of instructions that tells a computer how to perform a task. Programming can be done using a variety of computer programming languages such as JavaScript, Python, Java, C++, Ruby, PHP. There are many programming languages and Python is one of them. So how does programming work? So it is basically divided in two things, that is algorithm and the flowchart. So algorithm means a process or a set of rules to be followed in calculation or other problem solving operation. Whereas the flowchart is a graphical representation of an algorithm. Programmers often use it as a programming planning tool to solve a problem. As I said, algorithm is a step-by-step instruction of doing a thing, whereas a flowchart is the same, but we use special symbols for doing it. And it is the most simplified way of presenting any of the programming programs. So let us see the example of the algorithm. So this is a very basic example of how you can bake anything in oven. So what would be the steps for doing it? The first step would be preheat the oven. Second thing, you will gather the ingredients for your recipe. You will measure the ingredients to be added. Then you will mix it together to make the batter. Then you will take your pan, you will grease it. Then you will pour the batter into the pan. You will put the pan into the oven, which is already been preheated. Then you will set the timer according to your uh, then when the timer goes off, take the pan out of the oven and then you can enjoy your meal. So this was the very basic example of algorithm. But in program, we have different set of algorithm according to our needs. So the first one is divide and conquer algorithm. In this algorithm, we divide the problem into smaller sub-problems of the same time. We solve the small problems, which are easier to solve, and then we combine those solutions to give us the original problem. Second one is the brute force algorithm. As it says, try all possible solution until a satisfactory solution is found. So let me explain you with this an example. Suppose you have your lock and you forgot what key is to be used to open that lock, but you have this bunch of keys, right? So you will try one by one key, all of the key until you get the key to unlock the lock. So over here you are trying all the possible solutions so that you can unlock that lock. And the third one is the randomized algorithm. You used a random number at least once during the computation to find a solution to the problem. If we consider the same problem, there are two ways of approaching that. Like you are going to check all the keys of doing one by one in a sequential manner, like first key, second, third, and so on. While in the randomized algorithm, you can just keep any of the keys and you just remember what keys you have tried. Every algorithm has its own way of working. Then the fourth algorithm is the greedy algorithm. It helps us to find the optimal solution at the local level with an intent of finding an optimal solution for the whole program. And the famous algorithms in all of the algorithm are the recursive algorithm. It solves the lowest and the simplest version of the problem to then solve increasingly larger version of the problem until the solution to the original problem is found. In recursive, the problem is breakdown into a small program and it is going to call itself again and again until your problem is solved, or else the condition is been false. So here you can see an example of the flow chart. Over here I have explained you how you can reach your school at in time. Okay, so first when you leave your home, you will first check the time. If it is before 7 a.m., that means if you are early to school, you can take the subway or else you can take the bus when you are late. So here you can see these are the different symbols I've used. Over here, this is the start node, this is the end node. This check time is like an input field. This take bus and the take subway is going to be your output, that it is be going to be show you what you should do. And over this, the diamond shape is showing the condition. Over here, I'm showing you that if you are before the time, you should take the subway, and if it is not, you should take the bus. So over here, I'm giving you this condition of doing things. So why is Python so popular? Python language is incredibly easy to learn for new beginners and newcomers. Python language is one of the most accessible programming language available because it has a simplified syntax and not complicated, which gives more emphasis on natural language. Due to its ease of learning and usage, Python codes can be easily written and executed much faster than the other programming language. This Python programming language is very much similar to our English language, and everyone present over here knows the English syntax. I'm not talking about the grammar, but the basic syntax of English we everyone know. So Python is very much similar to English language. When Guido van Rossum was creating Python in 1980s, he made sure to design it to be a general purpose language. So what do we mean by general purpose language? General purpose language means that you can use Python for doing anything. Doing anything means you can use it for making web apps. You can make it to use Android applications and iOS application using the Flutter. You can even make the desktop application. It is also used in cybersecurity to making hacking tools. It is also used at AIML, and this AIML is used in different sectors, even the hospital sector to the school sector. Everywhere you can see Python has been applied. And one of the main reasons for this popularity of the Python would be its simplicity in syntax, so that it could be easily read and understood even by the amateur developers also. If you compare the other programming languages like C, C++, PHP, or Java, the syntax is too hard to learn. One can switch from that language to Python, but one can't switch the other way because Python is so good language and it is general purpose language, so you don't need any other language to be switched. So there are types of interfaces. So what do we mean by interface? So interface means how a person, like how an user is going to interact with the system, like how I'm currently interacting with my system. So there are two ways of doing that. That is command line interface and the graphical user interface. A command line interface enables user to type commands in a terminal or console window to interact with an operating system. User responds to a visual prompt by typing a command on a specified line and receives a response back from the system. A very good example of this command line interface is that the Unix distribution. The Unix distribution has many OS in that, like Ubuntu, Kali Linux, Parrot OS. This Unix based distribution, over there you can see a terminal, like a Windows has the command prompt. In Linux distribution, you have this terminal. You use this terminal to do each and everything. Even if you have to make a simple folder, you just need to type commands to that terminal so that you can make a folder, or else you just can't make a simple folder over there. Whereas in graphical user interface, it uses graphics along with keyboard and mouse. As you can see, if we need to make a folder, or even if we need to download a Chrome browser, you can just simply visit to your website with the help of your mouse. You can just download it and you can just browse easily through it. But in command line interface, it is totally different. Whereas in graphical, you can have buttons, scroll bars, iconic images, wizards, and other things. And this, for example, for graphical user interface can be the Windows OS or the Mac OS or even your Android OS that you use on your phone. So how can we install your Python? So you just need to visit this website python.org/downloads. After visiting this website, you can see a download button over there. So you just need to confirm the version, whether it is 3.10.2. Any version below 3.10.2 is okay to do. Then after double clicking on it, the exe file will be downloaded. You just need to open it. Then after clicking on it, like this wizard will be popped up of installing Python 3.10.2. The first thing you need to do that you just need to check these boxes below. Otherwise, you will be a bit of problem in near future. So after that, just click on this install now. After that, your installation process will be get initiated. You can see the progress bar like this. After it has been completed, you will get this message that the setup was successful. Now, as you have downloaded this Python, you just need to confirm it whether your Python is working or not. You just need to type the Python in your start menu and just double click on that icon, that is 3.10.10 app. Then this window will be popped up like this. This is a black color window. Over there, you can try printing this print hello world over there. And if it gives you the output like this, you can just confirm that your Python is working and you're ready to go. So we will deep dive deeper into this. So as I have explained you what is programming and we have selected Python for doing it. So the first important thing that we require is a variable. Variable are nothing but named reserved memory location to store values. This means that when you create a variable, you reserve some space in memory. Based on the data type of the variable, the interpreter allocates memory and decide what can be stored in the reserved memory. Therefore, by assigning different data types to variable, you can store integer, decimals, or character in this variable. So, explaining in simple words, variable means a bucket. Like you have the bucket at your home, you can store different sort of things in that. You have different sort of objects in your home like fan, AC, TV, washing machine, refrigerator. These are like variables only. They have certain values. So how to assign values to the variable? Python variable do not need explicit declaration to reserve memory space. The declaration happens automatically when you assign a value to a variable. The equal sign is used to assign values to variable. The operand to the left of the equal to operator is named as a variable, and the operand to the right of the equal to operator is the value stored in the variable. So what I mean by explicit declaration, if you go to any other language like Java, C or C++, you can see if we need to declare a variable, we also need to mention what sort of data are we going to store in that variable. Like if I'm storing some numbers, I need to explain that compiler that I'm going to store integer data to this variable. But while in Python, Python does not require to be mentioned this data type explicitly. It automatically understands whether your data is a literal, a string, character, or an integer. So this is the example how you can assign variables of different data types. The first one, as you can see on the left side of the equal to sign, this counter is my variable name. On the right hand side, this is the data. I'm going to store it into the counter. And it has the data type as integer. As you can see, 100 comes in integer. It is an integer number, so its data type is integer. And the second variable is miles, and I have stored it the 1000.0. The difference between the integer and float, that the float has the precision of 0.0. And the third variable is the name. In the name, I have saved this string that is John. John is not an integer, it is some different, like it is a normal statement. And in programming language, any statement we consider it as a string. And there are these different inbuilt Python data structures that are list, dictionary, tuple, and set. We will see them in the future slides. Like in items, we can combine different integers in a single variable. This key value works on the dictionary. This tuple is also similar to list only, and set is similar to the dictionary that I have mentioned over here. This is the newest feature of this Python language, this multiple assignment. I don't think so any other programming language has yet this feature yet. Like what happens in multiple assignment, as I've shown you, I've declared these different variables for different values. But I can do this in an efficient way because efficiency is the main key. We need to reduce the time complexity, space complexity of each and every program. We just don't use the slowest program. We always try to do the things as soon as fast. So for this multiple assignment, I can just assign this one value to this ABC three variables at the same time in the same line. I can also assign heterogeneous data, that is a different sort of data types, that is integer and string, to these different variables ABC respectively. Over here, the integer object is created with the value of 1 and all three variables are assigned to the same memory location. You can also assign the multiple objects to the multiple variables. So let me explain you the data type, standard data type. The data stored in the memory can be of many types. For example, a person age is stored as a numeric. Obviously, when someone asks us age, we just tell them a number, 30, 20, 25, etc. We just don't say 20.5 or any other. And if we ask his address, it is like alphanumeric characters. Like we can say it in a statement like he's staying at Mumbai, Maharashtra, etc. Python has various standard data types that are used to define operation possible on them and then store the method for each of them. There are 7 standard data types that are number, string, boolean, list, tuple, and dictionary. When we have the variables as an integer, we can perform arithmetic operation. Arithmetic operations are used to perform mathematical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. There are total 7 arithmetic operators in Python: the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, exponential, and the floor division. So now let's have the practical hands-on experience on Python. So now let's move to our Google Colab. For that, my mate Rishikesh will give you a brief introduction how you can set up your Google Colab on the Google.
Yeah, thank you, Shubhankar. I'll just share the screen. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, good to go.
Thank you. So I'll just give a brief introduction about Colab and how you can use Colab for implementing Python codes. So just a second, guys. Yeah, so just a brief introduction about myself. Myself, Hrishikesh Krishnan. I am from Kerala. I have a diverse background. So starting from my BTech career in mechatronics, which is a combination of mechanical electronics and software side, and then I worked in an automotive company for nearly 1 year, and then I did my master's in analytics, and from there my analytics journey started. So I have around 1 year experience into analytics. I was fortunate to be part of a few central government funded project by IIT Madras, and then I worked in a startup, and currently I am working in one of the pharmaceutical giant GSK, GlaxoSmithKline, as a junior programmer, and I'm a amateur musician, percussionist, photographer. I am a tech guy kind of. Um so let's go to the collab. Uh, I'm sorry, my screen is getting stuck. Just give me a second. So I'm not putting it in the slideshow mode. Just bear with it. Sorry for that. Uh, so uh, is my screen visible and audio clear?
Yes.
Yeah. So Google Colab or Google Collaboratory is a free notebook environment that completely runs in the cloud. We have different kind of platforms, or we say notebooks, that can be used to execute our programs. Let's say not only Python, we have different languages other than Python like C, C++, R, or Julia. There are many platforms which help us to execute a program. Suppose if we all have different machines having different configurations. Based on our system, we may not be able to execute few programs that actually uh, um, does some complex requirements. So in that case, this online notebooks that actually works on the cloud will help us give resources that are required to execute or implement programs. So Google Colab or Collaboratory is one such notebook from Google, uh, which does not require any setup for previously Shubhankar has mentioned how to install a Python IDE, or we have something called Jupyter notebooks that requires certain amount of installations and some amount of scripting required to do the entire action or entire execution. But Google Colab is something which helps us to execute a Python code um, within the notebook itself. Like each, like whenever we write a statement or a code, that line by line execution will happen, and we'll get the result in the same notebook. So that is the reason why we are choosing this particular Google Colab for our Python implementation or practice. So the advantages include we can actually create, upload, and share notebooks just like we are sharing some Google Docs or Google Sheets among ourselves. And we can even import or download the notebooks which we have executed in the form of Python notebooks or HTML pages. So this is a free cloud service that even we can utilize the GPU or the TPU resources from the uh, Google, which like if you are using our local system, we may not be able to get the that super performance by using our CPU or the processor. But using GPU or TPU can help us to improve the efficiency of our algorithms and the speed of the performance. So all these are some of the relevant factors why we are going to use this particular Google Colab. So just going through the steps for using Colab. The first step is you have to log into your Google account, and then uh, just go to the particular link https collab.research.google.com, and then you'll get the screen which is given here. uh, the third step will be you have to create a new notebook, and then the new notebook untitled 78.iponb will be displayed in your system. So I'll just share the screen and just show what are the features that are available in Google Colab. So I hope my screen is visible now. Just say a yes or a
Yes.
thank you, thank you. So this will be the screen when we initially opens a Colab uh, notebook. So we have the option to actually uh, these are few of the previously uh, performed files, but we will just ignore it for the time being, and we'll go to create a new notebook. So here we have an option called new notebook. We'll just click that, and then our new notebook is loading. Yeah. So this screen is actually the new notebook which we have initiated. So we have our file name, that is untitled 78.ipynb. So this ipynb is nothing but the format for a Python notebook. So we'll just rename it as Python 1. So we have options here mainly for file, that is to mainly to open a new notebook or save a new notebook. We have options to rename. We have options to save it to the Google Drive, to the GitHub, and as mentioned, we have the option to actually download the file in the format of a Python or Python notebook file. And then we have so before that, I'll just show up a thing called, there is an option called connect. I hope everybody is able to view this connect option. So this is how we actually have to connect it to the server. So as I have mentioned, this Google Cloud or Google Collaborative works on Google server. So we are just connecting it to the the cloud. So now it is almost connected. And so this is just like whatever. So suppose I'll give a small example. Shubhankar is waiting for the entire topic examples in collab, so I'm not wasting much of the time. So if you, it is just like suppose we have to find the at sum of two numbers, let's say 5 plus 4. So I have just typed 5 plus 4, and then you can go here, not insert, the run time, and just give run selection. So the so we call this so I have numbered this 1 just to say that this is the cell number 1. So we have given the run here, and we got the addition of the two numbers, that is 5 and 4 as 9. So you don't need to go here and click run all the time. You just need to uh, like, let's say I'm giving 5 plus 7 now, and you just need to click here so that the run process will happen and you will get the result. So this run time is mainly for if you have 10 lines of code, so you have to run all the code from the beginning, you can give run all. If you have to run the above the below or the before cell, you can give run before. And so these all are accordingly for mainly for the run. And we have some tools that are mainly for whenever you're coding, you can have the command palette or the settings. This will give the keyboard shortcuts. And the help is mainly for whatever bug, whether you are encountering a bug, you can actually uh, press the help button. And insert will have options to mainly add a cell. Suppose we have a now we have only one cell here, that is cell number 1. So if we have to add a cell, now cell number 2 is here. So that is how the things happen. And we have options to put comments, like suppose if we have to write something called my first program. So this will be kept as a comment, and it will not be a a code line or the statement line. And the main advantage of Google Colab is that we actually can suppose if we have a data set of 5.6 GB. So if you are using your local system, and if you are using a Python notebook, or let's say a Jupyter notebook, which is nothing but a notebook that actually gives option for us to execute Python codes, but that will run on your local system. So if you are using that particular notebook for execute or analyzing a 5.6 GB of data set, then that will take a lot of time. But the main advantage of Google Colab is that you can actually put your file or the 5.6 GB of data to your Google Drive, and then import it from the Google Drive to the Google Colab. So it just has only one single line of code, like just like mount Colab, mount data from Colab to Drive to Colab. So using like just like Shubhankar has mentioned, just like writing simple English like sentence or syntax or statement, we can actually import bulk or GBs of data sets to the Google Colab. So that is the main advantage, but I'm not going to that that connection process right now. We'll just go with the basics of how to what are the main things in Python. So eventually we'll see how to take a large amount of data to from Drive to Google. So one more thing which I would like to mention here is the files option. So file option will help us to actually down upload data from your local system to the Google Colab. So suppose if we have an Excel file in the form of like, okay, we have a CSV file. So CSV file having size of 150 KB or let's say 1 MB. So we can actually use this files option and just upload it from your local device, from your C or desktop to this. So suppose here we have some sample data, like we have some JSON file, CSV file. So you can directly upload that file to this collaboratory and use it for the analysis purposes. So I'll just click, for example, we have something called California Housing Train.csv. So just double click this data set, and then we'll get to see uh, it. Yeah. So we can see that there are different attributes for this California housing data set. So that will be displayed here. So just like we have to copy the path of this file in order to use it, like there is an option called copy table. So we can either copy this table or copy the path of this file and then use it for the analysis purpose. Like copying the path is very simple. You just need to click here and just get the copy path, and then path will be done, and then you can import the data set. So that is for the time being it will be a bigger picture now, but just wanted to share the idea of how and what a collab is used for and what are the functionalities in collab. So collab is just a online, you can call it an online notebook or a cloud based notebook that enables us to execute Python codes in an efficient way. It can be used for storage of large volume of data, and you can use GPU and TPU resources. So I'll just show how you can. So if you go to the runtime, we have something option called change runtime type. So here, if you go, we have the option to change the accelerator. So hardware accelerator, if you go, we have GPU and TPU. So if you are using a, a mid-range or a laptop, it will not have a high amount of processor and all. But if you're using a system with all the upgraded things, you can have this GPU and all. So if you select GPU, then that thing will be on your notebook. So it will be getting allocated and you will be connected based on that configuration. So if you want to like work with images or like unstructured data like images or videos, then in that case you actually require to use GPU or TPU based on your problem. So that is how this thing works. It is a very useful and very efficient notebook. There are many other notebooks, like we have something from Amazon called AWS, and we have something from Microsoft called Azure. We have some notebooks from IBM, um, and we have notebooks from Kaggle. So many are there, but I think personally a preference from our team Python is Google Colab. So that is why we are planning to take the Python course and collab itself. So I hope it will be a good journey from here onwards. So yeah, so I think Shubhankar will now proceed with the other Python implementation of the topics which he have covered in the initial presentation. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thank you, Rishikesh, for this brief introduction of the Google Colab. So, is my screen visible?
Yes, yes.
So, as Rishikesh told you how to set up Google Colab, I've already set up my Google Colab and I've written some code snippets over here. So, let me explain you one by one. So, we have done with how to install Python or how you can do this directly by using Google, that is Google Colab. So, let us write our first Python program. So our first Python program would be printing hello world. So this is going to be the syntax for it. You just need to type this print, then include this in the parenthesis. You just need to type this hello world with this inverted comma. And when I try to run it, you can get this output. So now you should have this question, why printing hello world? I could have entered any text like my name is Shubhamkar or any of the text, but I've still printed hello world. So the reason behind is that when we start any of the programming language, we first learn how to print hello world in that language. Traditionally, hello world program are used to illustrate how the process of coding works, as well as to ensure that the language or system is operating correctly. They are usually the first program that the new coders learn because even those with little or no experience can execute Hello World both easily and correctly. Even in the corporate softwares or while giving the exams for these corporate companies, they take us coding challenges. Over there, their compilers have this pre-written text that is print statement. Over there, they also write hello world so that they can check the system is operating correctly or not. So as I have showed you how to assign variables, so this 100 is an integer data type. So I've stored it in the counter. This is 1000.0, which I've stored it in miles variable. This is the name, that is John, which is in string data type. It is stored in name. I have stored this 1, 2, and 3 values in a list, and I've stored this list into the items. I have this dictionary data type. In dictionary data type, we have the key and the value. That is, the key one has the value 1, key 2 has the value 2, and I've stored this in the key value variable. Then next, I have stored the names Ram, Raj, etc. in this tuple. The difference between is this, the brackets overuse. This is the square, this is curly, this is round bracket. I have stored different variables. And if we try to print them, this variable, you can see the output, how integer is printed, how a float value is printed. Even though I have stored this value John in this double inverted, the output doesn't have this inverted because the compiler knows that it is a string data type and how to print that. The next one is the list. This one is my dictionary data type. The below one is my tuple, and the last one is the set. As we have seen multiple assignment in Python, we can print multiple statement using this simple print statement only by just separating them with the field separator, comma, counter, miles, name, and you can see this whole three variables are printed on the single line. Whereas I've used the different print statement, so the values are being printed on the different lines. Hello. Hello. So then the multiple assignment. You can see I have stored this one value to these three variable A, B, and C at the same time. Whereas you can see in the previously I have stored different values of different variable on different lines. So over here you can see that this is the homogeneous data, and at the below I have stored different. That is 1 and 2 is the integer, and the third one is the string. And when we have different data, we categorize them into heterogeneous data. And when we try to print them, You can see all of these variable have the value of 1. We try to print them again. We can see the values as 1, 2, and John. We have different data types. The first one is the integer. Number data type store numeric values. As the name suggests, integer, we can store positive, negative, and the zero values. Number objects are created when you assign a value to them. For example, we can add all the natural numbers or whole numbers in integer data type. So this is how you assign the integer data type. This is the value. This is the variable name. You can put any variable name. The restrictions are that you just can't use the keyword. Keyword means Python has defined some particular words that you can't use, like print. Print is the keyword. Print you can't use as a variable name because it is predefined by the Python. So other than print and the other keywords, you can use any of the variable name. As I have declared this var1 means variable 1, I've stored the data 1 in it, then the variable 2 with -10, variable 3, and I've tried printing them and it's working absolutely fine. So the next data type is the float. The float type in Python represents the floating point number. Float is used to represent real numbers and it is written with the decimal point dividing the integer and the fractional parts. When we say our age, we just say it as a whole number, in a proper number. We just don't say in point. But while doing analysis, we may need precision. For this precision, we need floating points, and this float data type will help us in storing this value. As you can see, I have stored in this also we can have in point, and with the zero also we can have precision like 0 0.0. As you can see over here, the variable one has the value of 42.9, second has the 10 point minus 10.93, third has the 0 0.0. So how can you bifurcate integer and the float variable? As I said, we don't need to explicitly mention the data type in Python programming language, because in other programming, if I was writing the code in Java, I need to mention that it is the int variable, then the variable name, and then the value. And over here, I would have to mention that it is a float, then the variable name, and then this. But in Python, it would give me an error. As you can see, it is already indicating red that something is wrong with the syntax. So just I'm going to undo my changes. So Python just automatically gets to know that this is going to be an integer. If we just need to confirm it, we can use this inbuilt function that is the type. I've used this print function to see whether this x and y variable are of integer and the float or not. As you can see, the first output is the class int, that is the x belongs to the integer class, and the second value, that is the y, belongs to the class float. So as we have understood the integer and the float variables, we can now perform the arithmetic operations that are addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, exponential, and float division. So how can we add two numbers? As Rishikesh already told you how you can add. Just let me explain you it again. I have assigned this value 2 and 3 to this variable 1 and 2, and I have used this third variable, that is result, to store the result of this addition, that is value of 1 plus value of 2 into this result, and after that I'm going to print the result. As you can see, 2 plus 3 is going to be 5. Then the subtraction operator. Subtraction operator in Python is it is used to subtract the second value from the first. Again, I've used this three variable, first and second has the value of 2 and 3, and the third is going to store the result of them, that is value 1 minus 2, that is 2 minus 3 is going to be minus 1. So as you can see, it is printing minus 1. And then the multiplication operator. It can be done using the asterisk sign. It is used to find the product of two values. Again, I've used the same value 2 and 3 and going to store the result in the result variable, that is res. That is 2 into 3 is going to give me 6. Then comes the division operator. In Python, forward slash is the division operator. It is used to find the quotient when the first operand is divided by the second. When we divide, we usually have the quotient as well as the remainder. If we use this forward slash operator, that is the division operator, we will get the quotient in the precision form. That is 3 divided 2 is going to be 1.5. That is we are getting the result. That is value 1 is 3, value 2 is 2. Then the result value 1 divided by 2 is going to be 1.5. Then comes the modulus operator. As I have mentioned earlier, when we divide the numbers, we get two things. That is the quotient and the another one is the remainder. The modulus operator is the percentage sign. It is used to find the remainder when the first operand is divided by the second. When we divide 3 by 2, we will get the remainder as 1. Like 2 ones is 2 and 3 minus 2 is going to be 1. We are not going the deeper for the precision as we are using this modulus symbol over here. Then comes the sixth one, that is the exponential operator. As you know, I have already told you the multiplication operator is the asterisk sign. For the exponential operator, we use two asterisk sign with no space between them. It is used to raise the first operand to the power of second. That is, if we need to find the square of two numbers, cube of some numbers, or even x raised to y, or x raised to y, that sort of calculation can be easily done using this exponential operator. Over here, 2 raised to 3 means 2 cube. 2 cubes value is 8. The next one is the floor division. In Python, when we use two forward slashes, it is used to conduct the floor division. It is used to find the floor of the quotient when first operand is divided by the second. As I've said, we get two things when we divide two numbers, that is the quotient and the remainder. When the number is not divisible properly, completely, so we get the quotient in point. But even if sometimes we don't need that much of precision, so we use this floor division. We know that 3 divided by 2 is going to be 1.5. So it is giving you the floor value, that is the lowest rounded value, that is going to be 1. So let's move to the next data type, that is the string data type. Strings in Python are surrounded by either single quotation marks or the double quotation marks. Hello is the same as the hello, that is the single inverted hello with the double inverted hello is the same. I'll show you. Over here, I have enclosed the hello in double inverted, and in the second one, I have enclosed the hello in the single inverted. Yet the output is still the same. So it doesn't matter. You can use both of this. I have directly printed this hello using the print statement. You can always assign a string to a variable and you can then print it. It will still give you the same output. Then comes the multi-line string. So over here, there is no white space. White space, I means the white space that I'm going to give it like with my space bar. Over here, you can see I've given this random text of lorem ipsum. So over here, there contains a lot of white space over here, like this line. The second line has this much white space, but I'm using this three quotations like 1, 2, 3, and I've also enclosed it with three quotations 1, 2, and 3. So if I print it, it is not going to just keep the white space as the print statement. It is just going to give me the whole text as it is. Strings are like arrays only. Like many other popular programming language, strings in Python are arrays of bytes presenting Unicode characters. However, Python does not have a character data type. A single character is simply a string with the length of 1. So what do we mean by this? In a C, C++ or Java, there is another data type that is the char. When the string over here, you can see this hello world, it contains 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, like almost it has 12 alphabets. When the number of alphabet is 1, it is categorized in char data type. But in Python, we do not have this char data type. We just only have this string. So what happens to the char data type? It is also considered as string when the length of the string is 1. So these are the some operations that we can perform on string. So this is my string variable str. I have assigned this hello world and the exclamation sign to it. When I use this simple statement print string, it is going to print the whole statement as it is. But if I just need to print this first alphabet, that is the capital H, I will mention the index position of it 0, and I'm going to print it. So here comes another important concept, that is indexing. Like we are normal, we usually count from 1 2 3 4 5 and so on. So if I tell anyone to count these numbers, sorry, alphabets, we will count as H as 1, E as 2, 3 4 5 6 7 and so on. But in programming language we have the concept of array. In array we try to count the numbers from 0. The H is going to be at 0, E is going to be at 1, L is going to be 2, second L is going to be 3, and so on. So I'm going to count it as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm also counting the white space also. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So there are total 11 characters in it, including the white space. So if I need to print this first alphabet, I'm just going to give its index position, that is 0. And the next important concept comes, that is indexing. Sorry, yeah, slicing. So as we cut our fruits, we just slice the small pieces and we just eat it, whatever part we like the most. Similarly, we can apply that same concept over here in string. If we just need to capture this particular set of words, we can use this concept. So what is going to be syntax for that? You just need to write a variable name, then you just put the square brackets, then you just need to mention the start position from where you need to start. Over here I have mentioned the second. That means it is going from this third character. 0 1 2, that means the third character L, it is going to start from the L and it is going till the fifth character. This fifth is nothing but the end, and we need to separate it with this colon sign. So it is going to be giving me the output as double LO, that is 0 1 2. So it is going to start printing from here 2 3 4 and 5. Fifth is the white space, so it is printing but we are not unable to see it. Sometimes we need to print the entire string from a specific index. That is, if I wanted to print this world, I would have mentioned the starting position and the ending 11. But in Python, you don't need to do that also. You just left the space empty. It is going to print the entire remaining sentence as it is. You can see the output of this over here. What if I need to print this twice? We can also apply the arithmetic operations over here also. Like if we need to print 2 times, we just need to multiply it with 2 using this asterisk sign, and this hello world is going to be printed twice. Okay, and then the next concept comes is that concatenation. Concatenation means simply adding of 2 words. Like the first string is the hello world, then I have used this additional operator addition operator, and then I have included this another string directly without assigning to a variable. And with this plus sign, what will happen is that it is going to concatenate these 2 strings. That is, you can see hello world and the test is been combined to a single line only and not on the separate lines. And another concept of this slicing is that We can also skip some characters in between. That is, the syntax is that start, end, and then the steps that we need to take. Print characters starting from 0 to 11 after overstepping two characters. That is, it is going to start from edge. It is going till this exclamation time, exclamation mark, but it is going to overstep. That is, it is going to skip the characters after the second index. As you can see the output, HLOWRD. So how it is working? H is printed, then it is going to skip this E, then it is going to print this L, then it is going to skip this, then it is going to print this, and so on. So this is how it is going to work. In Python, it also supports negative indexing. So what do we mean by negative indexing? I've just explained you what is indexing. Indexing starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if I start from the behind, that is the last, it is going to be -1, -2, -3, -4, and -5. So if someone tells you to print the last character, you can just tell string, which is enclosed in the square brackets, and the -1, the index position of it. So let us do a simple program how to reverse a string. So this is my string. Hello, my name is Shubhamkar, and I'm going to talk about Python. So if I need to write it in reverse way, I just need to type this simple line of code and my string is going to be reversed. You can just confirm it. So what is happening over here is it is going to start from the start only over here, and it is, as I have not mentioned in the second also, that is the end, it is going to end over here only, but I've giving the step as -1. So if it you are here, so the -1 step would be going to be over here back, and then it is also, then it is going to jump backward, that is O, then H, then T, then Y, P, then the white space, and that's how it is reversing the string. So let's move towards the next data type, that is the Boolean data type. Python Boolean type is one of the built-in data type provided by the Python, which represents one or two values, that is true or false. Like we have the bulb, it can be either on or off. You just can't have any other state. Generally, it is used to represent the truth value of the expression. For example, 1 is equal to 1 is true, whereas 2 less than 1 is false. I have assigned this true. Please don't consider it as a string because I have not enclosed it in the inverted commas, single, double, or three. I have assigned this true value to the A and the false value to the B. And I have checked this using the type function, and it is showing me the class as the bool, that is Boolean. So let's have this program so that you can have the clear understanding of it. I have assigned this X and Y as 5 and 10. So tell me, 5 and 10 are equal or not? Obviously, they are not equal. So it will give me false only. This boolean will return the value what it is going to be holding right now. X is not equal to 5, can never be equal to 10. So that's why it is giving me the answer as false. There is another parameter, that is none. None means it is having zero value. Or in SQL, we have this null. So it is same like null. It doesn't have any value, but it is not like zero also. It stands nothing. So if we try printing it, if it does not have anything, then it is obviously going to give me false. If it has something, it is going to give me true. And another way, like if I'm creating a tuple with zero value, it is again going to give me false value only. If I create another empty set or dictionary, it is going to give me false only. Zero, as I said, a bulb can be either be on or off. In electronics, we say 0 as off and 1 as on. So even if 0, 0.0, it still stands at 0. It doesn't matter. You add zeros to the left or after the decimal. It is always going to be 0. So it is going to give me my answer as false only. But now I've stored this data string to this X. So it has some value, it is holding some values to it. So that's why it is going to give me true. So these were the basic data type. So now comes the built-in data structure. As the name suggests, these data structure are built in with Python, which makes programming easier and help programmers use them to obtain solutions faster. List. Lists are used to store data of different data types in a sequential manner. These are the addresses assigned to every element of the list, which is called as index. The index value starts from 0 and goes on until the last element called the positive index. There is also negative indexing, which starts from -1, enabling you to access the element from the last to first. Now let us see an example. How can we create a list? Let me mention this also. Lists are similar to array only. The difference over here is that array are lightweight, whereas lists are the heavyweight. What do we mean by heavyweight? That it consumes more memory. If I say array consumes 8 bytes, then list consumes over 32 bytes, which is a huge number. So if we are working on a huge platform, it's better to use arrays. But we don't have any resource problem because we are doing things on this Google Colab. So our PC's RAM or GPU doesn't matter. Our Colab has the same speed. You try it on any of the machines, the speed is going to be same. So you can use list. So how can you create a list? You need to use the square brackets and add the elements accordingly. So if we need to create an empty list, you just need to do this. Open and close square bracket, and if you try printing it, it will show you empty list only. But if you add data that is 1 2 3, this example string, then this is float value that is 3.132, and try printing, this is going to show you the result of it. And I also like to mention this thing that list can be heterogeneous as well as the homogeneous. I can make the list as 1 2 3 4 5, or only of examples, like sorry, strings, string 1 string 2 string 3. Whereas in array always supports homogeneous data. You just can't enter the data like here 1 2, that is integer integer integer, then string, then the float value. No, it will give you error in the other languages because of the array. But in list it doesn't give you array. It is the advanced version of the array, you can say. So that's why it can hold homogeneous as well as the heterogeneous. Here is the third example. Over here I have also included the boolean value. It is still giving me no error. If you try it in doing in different language, you will definitely going to get an error. So lists are used for matrix calculation also. So as you know, matrix has single dimension, two dimension, and three dimension. Similarly, list can be also be defined in two and three dimensions. So what do I mean by two dimension? That a matrix can have length and breadth. So that it is similarly resembling that only. Over here, I have created a list. You can see the first bracket like this, and the last one. In this bracket, I've included three sub lists. That is, the first list is 1 2 and 3, second list is 4 5 and 6, and the third list is 7 8 9. So this over here I'm creating a two-dimensional list. You can see over here. And then I have tried creating a three-dimensional list. Over here I've created this. First square bracket is closing over here and started over in the beginning, and then this is the second square bracket. In between this, I have created another two sublists, that is 1 and 2 and the 3 and 4. Similarly, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So over here, if you look closely, it is a three-dimensional. That is, it is going to have this length, breadth, and height. Similarly, we can even go in higher dimensions, 4, 5, 6. But for that, we will need to have the library, that is in NumPy and the Python, Pandas library, to do the advanced mathematics also. Now, how to add elements to this list? There are different functions for that. We have three functions: append, extend, and insert. When we need to add elements, when we need to add a single element, we use this append function. Now I've added this two value, but I just told you now that we can add a single element only. But if you look closely, this is a list. Triple five and 12 are enclosed in this square bracket. That means it is a list, and I'm going to append it on the fourth position of this list. You can see, and the extend function is used to add more. That is 2, 3, 4 is one variable, then the more example is the another. You can see I've included the square bracket, but over here there is no square brackets between 2, 3, 4. It is like 1, 2, and 3 are the first three fields. Then the fourth field has the sub two fields, that is triple five and 1, 2. Then the fifth field has 2, 3, 4, and the next field has its more example. And then if you want to insert a data to a particular index, then you will use this insert function. As I have told you how this indexing works, this will have the, over here I have mentioned this index 1. So where will the index 1 will come? 0, 1 at the 2 position, that is after 1. So after 1, this insert example is going to be inserted, and the rest of the data is going to be shifted next to it. This is shifted to the first, and the another one are the afterwards them. Now, how can you delete this data? To delete the element, we use the delete keyword. We have another two function, that is the pop and the remove. You can see I've created this list 1, 2, 3 example and so on. If I need to delete this value or the fifth index, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I've deleted this 10. You can see the result. You can't see this 10 value over here. If I want to remove this example, like I am too procrastinating to calculate this index position also, I'm just going to use this remove and just type the name of the variable, like it is string. So that's why I've enclosed it in the single inverted comma, and it is going to remove this example also data. If I need to pop the variable, pop is similar to remove only. I've mentioned the value as 1, so it has removed the value. My list dot clear will clear the whole list. Like you can see, the list is clear over now. It doesn't have any value in it. How can we access the list? Accessing element is the same as accessing string in Python. As I have discussed with you, how can you access this string? In string, we have this indexing, slicing concept. The same concept have been applied to the list also. And so we can obtain the value as needed. This is my list. If I need to access, that is, if I need to print all the values, I will use this simple print statement with my variable name inside it. If I want to access the element at the index 3, I will mention the index position and it will be printed. If I need to access the element from 0 to 1, I will just type the starting index and the ending index. Over here, the index is 2. Sorry, I have mentioned the index as 2, that is 0, 1, 2. So this third number is going to be excluded. That is the data previous to it are going to be printed. That is 1 and 2. Then similar to reversing a string, if I need to reverse my list, I will use the same syntax, colon, colon, and minus 1, and my list is going to be reversed. Now comes the next data type, that is the dictionary. Dictionary are used to store key value pairs. To understand better, think of a phone dictionary where hundreds and thousands of names and their corresponding numbers have been added. Now the constant values here are name and the phone numbers, which are called as the keys. As the various name and phone numbers are the values that have been fed to the key. So how to create a dictionary? like I have assigned this name as my dictionary is equal to curly brackets open and close. That's how I create an empty dictionary. And as I've mentioned, it is a key value. So this one is going to represent as the key. The two is going to be represented as the second key, and so on. If I do in further, and this after colon, I've mentioned this Python, and after colon over here, I've mentioned the Java. So that means the Python is the value to the key one. This Java is the value to the key two. So how can we manipulate and add keys to the dictionary? So I've created this dictionary over here. First and second are my keys. Python and Java are the values assigned to that respective keys. So if I need to change the Java to C++, I will write this syntax. That is my dictionary, the same concept of indexing, that is the square bracket and the value of the key. Over here we just can't have this indexing, that is it, you can't just say that first is at the first position, so it would be 0th index, second would be the first, second, third. No, over here we have keys. So if you need to access the value of Java or Python, you need to know what keys are you trying to access. So I've mentioned the second over here, and the second I'm going to change to C++. So as you can see, first it was Java. After writing this statement, my answer is, sorry, my dictionary is showing C++. So what if I need to add another key? So I will just write the key name and I will try to add this data. My dictionary in square brackets third is equal to Ruby. You can see the difference over here. How can you change an element and how can you add this key value pair? Now, how can you delete this key value in case anything happens? So there again comes this pop item and clear function. So I've created this dictionary first, second, and third keys, and I have the data of Python, Java, and Ruby. So if I use my variable name dot pop and then I mention this key name, so it is going to pop that element. You can see it is showing me the value that I have popped Ruby. I've used this a variable so that after popping it, I'm going to store it in the a and then I'm going to present it. So then comes my dictionary dot pop item. It will pop the whole key value pair. You can see the next one is the second and the Java. It is going to pop this both of the item and it is converted into tuple. You can see the brackets present over here. These are the round brackets. So they have been popped and they have been converted in the tuple. After that, you can use this clear to empty your dictionary. Now let's see what is an tuple. Tuples are the same as list, are with the exception that the data once entered into tuple cannot be changed no matter what. As we have seen different sort of functions for list string, you can't just apply similar to this tuple. If you create a tuple once, you just can't change it. That's why in technical language we say it as immutable, whereas the list string are mutable. So immutable means that you can't tamper with the data once you make created it. The only exception is when the data inside the tuple is mutable. Only then the tuple can be changed. Let us see the example so that it will be crystal clear for you. I've created this tuple. For this tuple, I use this rounded bracket 1, 2, and 3. I've created this tuple. I've tried printing it, and then I've created another variable of name my tube. Over there, I have stored this data A, C, and B. So how can we access this tuple? It is similar to the list, and list is also similar to string. So it also uses the concept of indexing. So if I need to print this first character, I will mention its index, that is the 0. If I need to print the whole, I will use this colon sign. So there is another concept of unpacking. You can see on this third and the fourth statement, the only difference is of that the asterisk sign. If I use this asterisk sign, what will it do is that it will remove this round brackets and the commas so that you can have this data in a clear format. There is also a concept of sub-indexing. Over here, I have mentioned 3 and then the 4. So what is the third position? 0, 1, 2 and 3. So over here, I have this edureka on the third index. So what does this fourth mean? There is no fourth element over here, right? So in this fourth, I'm going to again index it. This 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So in this edureka, this E is going to be my fourth index. So first square bracket means the indexing of the first main variable, that is the my tuple 2, which is the edureka. And I've also done the sub indexing in the edureka, that is 1, 2 and 3 and 4. So that is going to be E. So that's why it is printing E over here. So how can we append? We can only append this by using this, or else we just can't change the tuple, as tuple are immutable. This is the only way you can add elements to it. If you create a tuple 1, 2, 3, you just can't add using this append or insert or extend. It will give you an error. If you need to add some values, you need to again create a value variable of the same name, and you will add this my tuple plus 4, 5, 6. After that only it is going to make another tuple which has this all of the value, or else it will throw an error. So here comes the next data type, that is the sets. Sets are collection of unordered elements that are unique, meaning that even if the data is repeated more than one time, it would be entered into the set only once. It resembles that you have learned in arithmetic. The operations also are the same as in the arithmetic sets. Let us see the example. So you can see I've created this set. It is the curly braces 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 555. Over here, you can see it is not ordered. Ordered means in ascending order or in the descending order. If I say in ascending order, it will go from small to big number, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on. Over here, I've also added this duplicate of 5, that is 555. So if I run this, what will happen is that it will remove the duplicates and it will order the set. As you can see, it has ordered it and it is also removed the duplicates. That is the added advantage of this set. If you need to create a list without the duplicate, you can use this set. If we need to add data to a set, we can use this add function by simply writing the function and the value that we need to add. And if we check by using the print statement, you can see as 1, 2, 3 and then the 4. As I have mentioned that it is similar to the set that we have in our algebra. We can perform the same operations over here, that are the union that combines the data present in the both set, intersection that finds the data present in both sets only, difference that deletes the data present in the both, and the output data present only in the set past. Then the symmetric difference does the same as the difference function, but outputs the data which is remaining both the sets. So let us see with an example. Here I have considered this two set. Set 1 has is 1, 2, 3, 4. The second set has 3, 4, 5 and 6. So as you know, union will result in giving you combined data from the both the sets 1 and 2. I've used my variable name dot union and the second variable name. So it is going to combine as 1, 2, 3, 4. And over here 3 and 4 are repeating, so it will exclude them and will add 5 and 6 to this. There is another method of doing this using this pipeline symbol. This is called as the pipeline symbol. By using this also, you can just find the union of the two given set. Next comes the intersection. In the intersection, I've written the syntax as the first variable name, then the intersection function, and in the parenthesis, I've written the second set name. So this is going to give me the intersection of the two sets. As you can see, 3 and 4 are common in both the sets. So that's why it is going to give me the result intersection as 3 and 4. The another method of doing this is the ampersand sign. Variable 1 ampersand variable 2 will give me the same output as the intersection function. Next comes the difference function. Difference function, you can see difference of the two. That is, if I subtract this, I will get 1, 2, 3, 4 minus this. So 3 and 4 will be removed. So the remaining elements will be 1 and 2. That's why it is showing me 1 and 2 only. Then the next comes is the symmetric difference. Like it is going to give me the difference from both these sets. That is, first it is going to difference, it is going to subtract the first set from the second, and the vice versa for the second set. So thus it will result in 1, 2, 5, 6, because 3 and 4 are similar. So it is just going to exclude the intersection part. And after then last step is that how can we clear this set? That is my set dot clear. So it is